Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you for being here with us, and special thanks to the Georgetown Light Department this morning for organizing and facilitating this, important program on safety awareness, both indoor, outdoor, and personal safety. So we have Wayne Snow, who is our Light Department manager.
Hello.
And Ray Cooley, who is a consultant with the department.
Correct. Good morning.
Doing educational presentation. So we're going to turn it right to you, and then afterwards we're going to have some ice cream and good morning, and go ahead and have some fun as well as learn some important information. So, and I'm sure that too, as we finish up, if there's handouts or any information that I can hold at the office, so that people who are at home, and if they have questions, they could still contact us through the office, and I can get them to Wayne, and we can certainly get the information out to folks at home as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
All set, Wayne.
I'm all set. You can start.
Okay. I'm happy to be here up in Georgetown, and Wayne contacted me over the summer to set up a program. And one of the things you have to understand is there's two different types of light departments in the state of Massachusetts. There's the investor-owned, which is beholden to Wall Street, and then there's the local one, or municipal, which answers to Main Street. And that's the one thing you have to understand, is when you have a problem in Georgetown Light, it's local. You go right there to the manager. They can answer all questions to know where you live. When you invest with an investor-owned large utility, there's often not a local place to go to. You have to dial a number, press many digits. And this is one thing municipal lights are known for, is reaching out to the public and serving you. Up in this area, we have several. Wayne, if you could, who do we have?
There's Georgetown.
Yeah.
There's Rowley, Groveland, Merrimack, Ipswich, Middleton, Danvers and Peabody. Those
Marblehead.
Marblehead, yeah. Those are the North Shore. Wakefield,
Yeah.
the North Shore group.
Yeah, here you go. But this is what we're going to talk about, is giving you a big perspective. And we do all of the large things a big utility does, but we go out there and reach out and want to speak with you. A safe and sustainable lifestyle. But one of the big things people don't understand is basically, how do we get our electricity? There are 4 simple steps. Electricity is made in power plants and shipped over those big transmission lines. You see those along the highways, right, coming into town. And then it's taken into number 2, which we call our substations. And I think, Wayne, you can pick it up. I think this is where your utility picks up the electricity and is responsible.
That's correct. We have 2 substations in Georgetown. There's one down on Moulton Street behind our old office, which is now the water department. And there's one in our new office down on Searle Street. And that distributes all the power to all the streets in town. And this is the streets. And then there's your home. And we're responsible to the connections right here in the service drop. The meter socket and the facility on this bolted to your house belongs to the homeowner and is your responsibility. The meter belongs to us, but that's in your property, but we'll take care of that for you. Basically, you should always make sure, and as Ray will say, this is probably the most important part to you as a homeowner or where you live, the service to your house. And you should always keep that in care.
Thank you. One of the things I love with this chart, I call this the perfect utility chart. And you say, why is it the perfect utility chart? There are no trees on it. Well, we found out from the October snowstorm we had, and then in 2008, I worked for the industry, we had tremendous ice storm. Now, one of the things, there are 40 municipal light departments in the area. And when Central Mass got hit hard, Wayne was one of the first utilities to get trucks out to get power restored out to Central Mass. So that's always good. They work as a team, the managers, they all know each other. There's a lot of pride. So we got them rolling by the next day. And Georgetown has a tremendous reputation of service and pride. So when we got hit hard in 2008, they were more than happy to come out and help us. And sometimes they call on us and we go. And one of the big things we want to talk to you about as we move on, when you call your local utility, here's how we can respond. Lately, ladies and gentlemen, just as a matter of safety, as I collect different articles, which I work for. One of the big things today is there's a lot of scams and fraud. If somebody comes to your home and says, oh, I have to get in to read your meter for some reason. Now with today's technology, they can go online and print their own ID and picture. Never let a stranger in. But that's one thing about being a small town. They probably all have the same meter reader for years, correct? So they know who you are. But this is important to share with your neighbors. If you have somebody new just show up and you're not sure, don't open the door. Always call Georgetown Light to verify that they're there. Another important scam they have is over the phone. They'll call up and they'll say, hi, Mr. Jones. Oh, how are you? I'm calling on behalf of Georgetown Light, or I'm calling from Georgetown Light. We have a special senior rate reduction. We know you live at this street. Oh yeah, we do. Well, that's so nice you have a senior rate. Oh, a couple more items I need. I need your social security number and things like that. That's a warning sign. And one of the ways we handle it within the industry, if somebody does call you from the local light department or utility, here's what we want you to do. Say, okay, what's your name? And I'll call you back. That way you can verify it. I think that's the best way to handle it, as Wayne and I talked about before we came. If you ever have a question, somebody says, oh, we're from, Georgetown Light, we have to have some questions on the bill. Always hang up and call them back to verify. Wayne, do you ever ask for social security numbers of that information?
We do not have social security numbers of anybody. Actually, we don't. All we have is your name and address, and that's it, really. I will tell you this: if you, like he says, call back to the office. There's only 3 people in the office: myself and the 2 ladies at the desk. We don't have an answering machine. So somebody will pick up the phone if we're open, and we're there Monday through Thursday from 7 to 5. If you call in another time, you're going to end up talking to the police department. So you'll always get a person, and they will always be, if you're a customer of ours, they're sitting right there at a computer, they can look you right up and tell you where you are, where you live, and what your last bill was. And so you can verify very easily who we are, and we do the girls they basically recognize everybody's names.
The beautiful of being a small town. Now let's get to the outdoor safety. As Wayne mentioned, I want to cover some outdoor safety, especially last October we had the big Halloween snowstorm and we had some down wires. A simple thing to remember, we teach school children this, and we have Mr. Ouch who goes in. Anytime you see any wires down, we pass these out to teachers is to get it out. And Wayne was one of the first communities 22, 23 years ago started an educational program for children. Is remember what Mr. Ouch, your generation, right, remember Ready Kilowatt? Well, Mr. Ouch teaches the boys and girls to stop, think, and stay away. Well, whether you're 3 or 83, any wires on the ground, Mr. Ouch has the best advice. Stop, think, and stay away. Don't move them. Don't go near them. Let the authorities know. They'll come out and take care of it. We'll give you some reasons to understand. First of all, let's talk about a power line. Now, these are samples. The black coating on wires is not a safety coating. The black coating is put on to protect it from snow and ice, not to protect the public. It sits on an insulator. Electricity is always looking to go down to the ground. All right? Electricity likes 2 things, metal and water. Our body is 70% water, so it likes us, and we have to be careful. Now, many times over the years, people have said, oh, why can't you put a safety coating on wires to protect them? Well, we'd like to, but we can't test it. So that's important. We have a special saying, always look up and look around for wires when you go to do things. Now, we see birds on the wire all the time. Now, the reason the bird can go on the wire, why do you think?
You're not grounded.
Very good. You want a cookie. Yeah. The bird can land on the wire because he flies. He flies on and he flies off. As I tell the kids, wires are for the bird, stay away. So he can land on it, he's nice and safe, and he flies away, okay? But if he had big wings and he touched 2 wires, he'd be in trouble. Now, along comes an animal that causes us lots of problems. What animal do you think causes us lots of outages on those wires? Squirrel, very good. Now, Rocky gets up on the wires, and he's safe here. But as he runs, he gets into our hardware, whether it be the insulator or other items, and he becomes a path, like the gentleman said, to ground. Now, as quick as you blink your eyes once, electricity goes around the world 6 times. So when Rocky gets hurt and the wires and the power go out, that's when Georgetown Light goes out there and fixes it. All right, so that's important to understand. Sometimes we see squirrels, but as soon as they make contact with one of our insulators or something like that, that's when we have problems. Now, speaking of wires and items like that, one thing I want you to understand is we have our service wire. And this is what connects from the street to the house. Now, anytime you go outside to do any work, always look up and look around. And one of the most important things we run into is people getting hurt using hornet spray. Now you're saying, how does that happen? Well, it can conduct electricity. What we found is when the utility works, we have special spray. So what happens is the general public sees the men and women from the utility industry spraying. They think, oh, this must be some type of spray they bought from the hardware store. Well, it's not. It's a special type of spray we use that won't conduct electricity. So say if you have a hornet's nest or a wasp nest near there, don't spray it, call Georgetown Light and they'll come out and get it. Do you charge for that, Wayne? No charge at all.
Free.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize. And if you have to do any work, always keep ladders about 10 feet away from the wires or anything like that. That's important. Now, if you have children or grandchildren at home, what we found is silly string is a conductor. So especially with Halloween or birthday parties, kids like to spray this. Always keep this away from wires that will conduct electricity. So that's important to know. Always find out where it's at. Now, speaking of wires, when we go out there to work, we have special gloves. As I tell people, we wear rubber gloves. You think these are the gloves we wear? No. I just want to share this. We have had people in the past say, oh, rubber gloves is what we can use. No, it's for cleaning. These are the gloves that we have to go out and work with. They're made of a special bonded rubber. They protect us up to 25,000 volts. Now, how many of you see people put yard sale signs on those poles? They tack them up. Okay, there we go. We don't want that. That's a hazard for the men and women in the light department. Why? It can cut our glove and we get hurt. We test these for pinholes. If this glove were to have the smallest hole and we touch the wire, we'd be seriously hurt. So please, if you see neighbors out there with tacks or yard sale signs, tell them not to do it. It's a hazard for the men and women in the light department to cut our gloves. Now, as we move along, we talk about wires. We have people that try and go out and steal the wires from down. A lot of times people say, oh, electricity can't go through wood. That's high voltage electricity. It'll go right through wood. This was from an accident, one of the storms. Somebody tried to steal some of the wire because it was made of copper. They thought because a wire is on the ground, it's off. No. Assume all wires on the ground, no matter even if they look dead, they're lying there, they're dangerous. Stay away. This person, of course, went to go cut it, and you can see the head right here, you know, got melted. So we have to be very careful. Now, it's the same thing if you see a wire on the ground. Years ago, certain things, the voltage wasn't that high. You could do it. Electricity outside today will go right through plastic. Years ago, people used to take like maybe a PVC pipe or something, just push it away. We don't want you touching any wires. Always let Georgetown know. You can see, this was from a longer pipe. We had this cut off to show you. This is one thing you can help us, is share this with your neighbors. So oftentimes, oh, I know everything about electricity. Go ahead.
Someone said that there's a new wire that's not metal, it's plastic. And it transfers electricity cheaper than the metal wire.
Not that I know of that's been out, no.
But still, it's exact electricity, you're gonna have a metal compound.
They
Yeah.
said that clear plastic goes right clean through it and it's faster. It's almost
The internet goes through the fibers.
The fibers.
Fiber, not
This is
electricity.
power, okay, so it's different. All right, the same thing is if you have a rope, people used to take ropes and try and pull wires away because it wouldn't conduct. The big thing I want you to understand, our electricity today is not your grandparents or your generation. You don't go home and watch a black and white TV and adjust the rabbit ears. We live in the electronic age, so we've got the thousands of volts of electricity. And that's the big thing you have to know. It's just like people say, oh, I remember the glass insulators. Well, that was a generation ago, and this is what the old insulators used to look like. How many of you remember these? Yeah. And this was made, they used to stamp the date, 1939. And this is what we run today. So you can see how time and technology has changed, and there's more power for it to use. Now, speaking of working around the yard, we also have another person we introduce to the kids and to the general public. It's called DigSafe. And what we like to do is we like to talk to the children about Willie the Worm. He always says, call 811 before you dig. We like to share this with you. Okay, this will be one of our raffle prizes, that t-shirt here. But what a lot of people don't understand is it's the law. Anytime you go to do any digging in the yard, you have to call that number. And what's here is a perfect example. Somebody went to go dig in the yard for years. They hit something that was on the ground, boom, conducts electricity. So that's what we mean called DigSafe. Electricity works for us, but it's also very unforgiving. We have to be careful. So that's one important thing to understand. Now, before we move to the other part of the indoor, a couple things I want to share with you is this. Say you're driving in the car. And I know a lot of seniors like to text and drive. All right. But say you're in the car and somebody comes at you, they're looking down, you lose control, and you hit a utility pole, and the wires come down. What do you think you should do if the vehicle is not on fire? What would you do?
Call 911.
Right. Should you get out of the vehicle?
No.
No, stay in. Well, oftentimes people panic and they'll go step out, and it could be a tragedy. So if you do hit that pole and the wires come down, just stay there and wait till help arrives. The only time you should get out is if it's on fire. And that's very simple. There's an easy way. You open up the car door, you get to the edge, and you hop out with both feet. And keep your arms crossed. You don't want to hold on to the door. Arms crossed. When you land, shuffle a good distance away, heel to toe. The reason why you shuffle is because if you go to walk or run, you're going to go into two different voltage zones and you become like a circuit. So if there's an accident, it's not on fire, sit and wait. The only time is if it's on fire, hop out and shuffle away, a good distance away. Now, we're going to get into basic homeowner safety, very simple, especially in the winter time. Let's inspect our cords. Now, one thing you have to understand, you never use an extension cord. Do any of you have them that look like this that have been all taped up, like home receivers? Many stripes, okay? No. People say, oh, I go back and buy black electrical tape. Well, if you look on the electrical tape box, it's a disclaimer. It's not a safety wrap to put on to cover the string. So once this has become cut or nicked, time to get rid of it. Another important feature to understand is sometimes we have those people that like to save everything. They don't want to get rid of it. And this was taken from somebody moving into public housing. A lot of times they'll inspect people going into public housing, the electrical. As you can see, this cord has been all damaged, the copper is coming out. And we asked the person, well, when you save it? Well, you never know when you can use it. Well, that's a good fire start. Certain things I want you to understand. Never use a cord that's all knotted up. Don't put the cord under the rugs. Sometimes with seniors, oh, I'm afraid of slipping, they have to throw rugs, or other people in general will put cords under carpet, figuring, well, I won't trip on it. Well, the weight in the garment underneath the carpet will break down the safety coating. Keep cords away from baseboard heat. Baseboard, you know, is warm, it can melt the coating. Keep it away from water. And most important is just keep an idea from cats or animals trying to chew on these. All right? They like to nibble. Now, there's certain things they buy today. You can go out and purchase. clip these away. Home Depot has them, Walmart has them. These are all certain items which they have for cords, whether to tack them up onto the wall so they're not near baseboard heat, or so you won't trip on them. So there's a lot of those little things out there that are very inexpensive for you to buy to help keep your home safe, especially in the fall. Now, if you have extension cords, it's so important to understand this. You have to have the right cord for the job. When we go outside, this is a cold weather cord. It means it won't freeze. On here it says it's good to 65 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit. And if you put Christmas lights up or anything, always have the right cord for the right job. And if you go outside to trim or use a leaf blower, make sure you have the right cord for the right job. Don't drag the cord through water, puddles, make sure the area is dry, and don't drive over the cord. Okay, a lot of times people drive it in the driveway and drive over the cord and back over the cord. It's not good for that to do. All right? Couple other little tidbits to help you is we always get this question. Power strips. This power strip, how many of you have something like this in your home? Okay. People say, well, how much electricity can I use? Well, you gotta look on the back. Most of your outlets are 15 amps. Add it up on the back of an appliance and say 2A, 3A, 4A. If it's more than 15, simply unplug it. Now, if something trips in your house, you have power goes off in the room, how many of you still have these? Okay, any of you have the old fuses? Don't use pennies. You remember that? Hardware stores closed, you throw the penny in. That's how these came out. As years ago, people would put pennies in and then burn down everything. But the reason is that this circuit breaker should trip. Okay, shuts off. Don't go back down and turn it on. That means you have too many things plugged in. Unplug them first and then go reactivate it. So that's very important to understand. If the lights go off in a room, say, oh, what caused that? You just go down and turn it back on. No, it means you have too many things plugged in. So please keep an eye when you plug things in on what you can use. The new Christmas lights today, the LED lights, the bright ones, use very little electricity. It's not like a generation ago that really were bright. So those are pretty good. So keep an eye on those. Space heaters, that is so important, space heater. Please do not put these in the power strips. One space heater, that's all you have to understand per outlet. That's how much power it throws. And space heaters add a lot to your electric bill. So you understand that. Those are big energy users, space heaters. All right? Now, if there's a storm coming, thunder, lightning, people say, well, if I shut it off, you can. But the safest thing in an electrical storm is unplug things. Unplug them. And that's important to understand. Now, same thing if in the morning when you leave, unplug the coffee, toaster oven. Besides being a good safety thing to do for fire, it'll save you electricity. All right, those are little energy hogs that use it. Now, the newer power strip I'll just mention to you is this. Probably noticing this has many colors on it. Green, red, and blue. Electricity, when we leave things plugged in, still uses it. When you plug it into the green, it automatically shuts it off. Okay? It senses it's not being used. It's like hitting this button. The red is for things you don't want to shut off, like a fish tank. You don't want that shutting off. Or a clock. The blue is for the computer. These are newer type of ones. These fight the energy vampires, the things that suck up electricity. So that's handy to use. Now,
We use the other one for our amplifiers and the band.
yeah, this is for the newer one. This is the one that's been conventionally used for many years. This is the newer one that's come out to help cut back on the usage of electricity. Okay. Now, speaking of, like I'm already going to share with you, we have to be careful. Curling iron in the bathroom. These get extremely hot. All right. So what happens is, when you're done with this, unplug it and put it on a plate. Don't leave it on the counter, don't leave it on a towel. This one gets up to 400 degrees. The same thing with the hair straightener, gets very hot too. And just to give you an idea, you see this little hair dryer? Do you remember the hair dryers of a generation ago? Years ago, the women had the big ones you could sit under. Okay, now this uses more electricity. This is like the amount of electricity of a in-the-wall unit air conditioner can use. That's how much power this can use. Now, the reason I point this out is sometimes we might have to be in a home with one bathroom, or we want to go into the bedroom. This was taken from an accident, this cord, it started a fire. This woman plugged in the hair dryer into the white cord, figuring, oh, it's a little cord, I can use this. These cords are basically designed for lamps and radios. The type of cord you'd actually need for this, because of the amount of power it uses, would be, believe it or not, this. That's how much these things throw. So don't be deceived by the size. And that's the one thing you have to understand. These throw a lot of power, and you have to be careful with them because they work. It's a little heating element in there that can really push the heat. Now, what to do in the home and outside if you see somebody being electrocuted? Okay. Carelessness causes a lot of accidents. I always see this. I've done it this way for years. Well, okay. But this person hit what we call the hot point, or the heating element. They stick the fork in. If something should ever get stuck in the toaster, okay, call 911. Don't touch the victim. You'll stick to him like a magnet. Don't go near the cord. You could bump them, or it could be surgery. What we want you to do is always call 911. It's the same thing outside. So you see somebody move a ladder into a power line. Don't grab them. You'll stick to them. Don't touch the ladder. Always call the first responders. I had a boy in one of my programs in one of the towns 3 weeks ago, saw his father put the overhead ladder into a power line. He was 8. He knew with the program not to touch his dad or the ladder, ran in, and they came in and saved the father's life. So that's important to understand. Oftentimes people say, oh, I'll go grab the cord. I'll throw a towel on them. The towels have fabric softener, things like that. We don't want you getting near the victim at all. Just call 911 and let the first responders get there, and they can take over from there. Now, just a couple other things, and then we'll wrap up, is what we want you to understand is this. Sometimes we have no control over outages. When the power goes out, we talk about new type of lighting. This is LED. You should have, when I learned this from the storms, a card, they call it the cycle of life, in case you have to leave your home for a flood or storm. But on a general outage, your power goes out. Don't use candles, okay? Start a fire. Always know where the flashlights are before the storm, so you're not searching in the dark. This has a little light underneath, then the big LED light right here. Okay, LED is a newer light technology. It's nice and bright, contains no mercury. Now, the reason we're going to give these out today is it has a hook, you can hang it, but it has a magnet. You can stick this right to your refrigerator. So when the power goes out, it's right on the refrigerator. And so you can find out where you're going. The big thing we want you to keep away is scatteroids. Oftentimes a lot of people trip and fall with those scatteroids around the house. But one of the things is general outages or what have you, where you don't have to leave, always know where a good flashlight is. This one, you can, if you want to put it in your closet, that's fine. But I recommend you keep it right up on your refrigerator so you can find it. This has a built-in battery, things like that. And when you're done, you can bring it back to the hardware store to recycle it, and they'll take it. But the key part I like is the magnet where you can find it. So you can go from there. Anything else to add, Wayne?
No, that's, I think you covered it all very well. You know, I just can't.
Yeah, we'll get to the question.
I had a floor fan, big square floor fan for a couple of years, and the cord came out the bottom. Didn't have a place for it at the bottom. And the other day I was in the kitchen, and whack, that thing just sparked, burnt, browned the floor. Because I thought, because the electrical cord didn't have, didn't come out the side, it came right up. So it must have been that. Come right up from the bottom.
Well, I have to see it.
Over and back and forth. So I bought a new one, but the cord comes out of the side. I
Right.
would never buy one coming out of the bottom.
Okay, yeah, always, that's a good point to share, know where the cord is at in the year, and we'd have to see what it looked like. Anything else? Few things I just want to thank you for coming. I want you to take some of this information, I got a packet to leave with Colleen. But one thing is, share it with your neighbors, talk to them about people calling on the phone, especially now. A lot of times they offer scams, winter's coming, oh, we have a special electric rate, or we can save you money on your electric bill. Always say, oh, okay, I'll get back to you, call the light department. That's the one benefit people don't realize. I've worked for the industry for 25 years, is you're locally owned and controlled. You can go see Wayne. You know where he's at, which is a good thing. That's why you gotta get the power on, they can find you. But, in all honesty, that's a very good benefit to have, is locally owned, locally controlled. Think about it today, try and get a hold of the phone company, they're huge, it's good luck. Like the Big Bang. But when you have your own utility, they're there to serve you. And so I want to thank you for coming. We have everybody get a nice flashlight. And thank you, Colleen, for all your work, and thank you for coming. Thanks for your time. Bye.
Thank you. Yay!